thinking about parkour and free running and all that, and where that fits in with proper training, I want you to understand that parkour started with an idea. Everybody knows David Bell. David Bell is kind of the current, father of parkour, if you want to say that. But really, it's not him. It's Georges Hébert of the French Navy back in the early 1900s. He noticed when he was stationed over in Africa, he noticed how the natural people, the indigenous people, moved in natural catastrophes, natural emergencies, whatnot. Disaster is the word I was looking for. And he noticed that because of their more primal lifestyle, their lifestyle free of technology, because they had to do everything manually, their natural abilities, I keep using the word natural, and I don't want to do that, it's an overused word, but the abilities that their bodies had adapted to, or adapted for their lifestyles, aided them in being able to run and jump and climb and all the things they needed to do to navigate the terrain, to get out of the way of an erupting volcano or tidal waves or whatever. And so he took that with him back to France and started designing ideas based on movement through an environment. Based on obstacle course and stuff. He even had an obstacle course built that simulated a ship's deck. And the idea was to take what we knew about exercise and movement then, plus his natural observations, and blend them into this one thing. And he had some funny ideas, and he had some things that were good and some things that were bad, and ultimately his specific méthode naturelle didn't particularly pan out the way that he had hoped. However, you have David Bell, who I want to say his father had worked with Georges Hébert, or his grandfather did, or knew somebody who did, something like that. Anyway, it was in there. And then of course you also have Erwin LaCour of MoveNat, who I believe is actually a better example than David Bell, who really espouses this idea of moving through your environment. But that is what parkour is and should be. The word parkour itself, we spell it P-A-R-K-O-U-R, but it comes from the French parkour, P-A-R-C-O-U-R-S, which means obstacle course. It's actually kind of a generic term. It's not even a term referring to the movement, it's a term referring to the terrain. But the idea, my dog is climbing on the couch. The idea is that you become efficient at moving through your terrain, and that means gaining movement capacity, it means gaining strength, it means speed, agility, power, all of those things in order to move quickly and efficiently through terrain. On the other side we have free running. Now, I will tell you this, I am not particularly an authority on free running. I've only been training in very fundamental, basic, functional parkour for 2 years, and that's it, and only the basics. I don't trick, I don't do any of that other stuff. Not saying that I wouldn't mind learning some of that stuff, it's just not high on my priority list. But when you look at free running, a lot of people use the words interchangeably, and for the most part, people accept that people use them interchangeably. But if you were to split them up, parkour would be more of that original side, that Georges Hébert, that David Bell, the Erwin LaCour idea. And Erwin LaCour doesn't even refer to it as parkour, he calls his system MoveNat. But then on the free running side, you have the people who are acrobats. You have the people who are in it for style, people who come from backgrounds such as dance and wushu and capoeira and well, I already said dance, let's say breakdancing, but you know, whatever. But the idea is that they start blending in style with it, because how cool is it to not only be able to climb a wall but then do a backflip onto the next wall or whatever. It's very cool, it's stylistic, it's impressive. You know, especially when you start getting gymnasts into it, moving beyond just functional capacity, moving into actual just movement art, the art of it. They get into things that are not necessarily functional, but Luna, calm down. Thank you. Getting into things that are not only functional, but things that are actually, you know, purely there for style. And so when you hear the terms, you know, think about them in terms of history and function, and then in terms of, you know, style and just the modern expression. They're both valid. They're both fun. You know, my coach tends to actually do both sides of it, and I think that's fantastic. There is so much strength and agility in all the tricking that you don't get, that you don't even develop on the functional side of it. I'm not saying it's not worthwhile to practice. It's incredible. But for me, for my purposes, because I'm interested in chaos management, because I'm interested in martial arts and survival and, you know, and all that stuff, I am more interested in what it can do to serve me in a moment of need, as opposed to what it can do to serve me in performance. And I mean spectator performance. So anyway, I just want you to start thinking about the terms, and while it is perfectly acceptable to use them interchangeably, to understand that there is technically a difference, and it's mostly because of the expressions used, one side being the public performance side, the other side being more of the roots of efficient movement. That's all I got for you. Just remember that running away is as much of an option in a fight as anything else is. In fact, sometimes it is your best option, especially legally. So, that being the case, I will talk to you guys next time. Good journey.